The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Nick Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to get 50% pause bonus up to 1K. We're also brought to you by Rebet. New sports available in 45 states. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7 for today by going to sports.com/rhythm, sportsgambling.com/RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Sunday morning, roughly midnight Eastern Time here on December 22nd. I'm Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the final match of the Next Gen Finals in Jeddah. Going to preview the matchup between Tien and Fonseca, taking place at around noon Eastern on a Sunday. But for that, though, do want to recap what happened last week for the lock and dog picks. Overall, decent episode. Unfortunately, we cannot sweep, but we have been winning the lock, so it could be worse. Did win with Tien. Team total over the 11.5 games at -125 in his match against Mickelson. Marathon went to 5 sets. Tien, I thought, had a chance to win, and he did. So picked up a nice winner there as Tien eventually went over the team total en route to a nice win. For dog, though, picked up a loss there at Fonseca moneyline with the over 23.5 games against Van Asch. Unfortunately, I got a bit greedy. I was thinking about taking Fonseca -2.5 games at even money. Decided to go for the bigger splash play at around +175. Didn't get there as he completely buried Van Asch as he won in straight sets. So once again, ended up winning the lock. Did end up losing the dog, so it could be worse. Look for a sweep here in the final match day here in the Next Gen Finals. Now, before we get into the actual, I'd say, recap of the two matches in a more detailed fashion, do want to remind you once again that you can show support for the show by subscribing on YouTube. You can also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. So if you listen to the podcast, either on YouTube or on audio-only platforms like Spotify or Apple, you can show support by leaving a rating and a review. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great Tennis Gambling Podcast merch. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs. Also t-shirts if you want to try it out. So different colors, different options, very comfortable. Recommend getting yourself something, not just for this show, but for the other shows with the SGPN company. Plus, a reminder, we also have a couple of great, I'd say, deals going on right now, especially with the College Football Playoff Challenge with SGPN. First annual College Football Playoff Challenge. Pick sides and totals in every game for a chance to win $1K as a grand prize. Free to enter. Just go to sportsgambling.com/CFP. sportsgambling.com/CFP. Anyway, time to get into the actual recap of the matches on Saturday. Starting off with the first matchup, you had the upset win by Tien as he was able to outlast Mickelson. Weird match, went to 5 sets, but there were no breakers. So the matches were pretty, I'd say the sets were pretty lopsided. You ended up seeing alternating 4-2s, and then every set in the last 3 had a less than 6 games. So you had a 4-1 for Mickelson in the third, a 4-0 bagel for Tien in the fourth, and then a 4-1 final set there for Tien in the fifth. So Tien kind of just took advantage of Mickelson running out of gas. Felt like Tien was still rock solid, and Mickelson started to unravel a bit after that third set, but Tien outlasted him as he got the job done there in 5. Fun matchup, but it seemed like Mickelson really didn't have much left in the tank, and it just seemed like Tien was too consistent for Mickelson to break through. And with the dip in level for Mickelson, it just seemed like Tien was able to really force Mickelson to beat him, and he couldn't do it. So nice win there for Tien, nice upset. Still couldn't believe Mickelson was that big of a favorite and the minus 300 range. Thought that was a massive price at the time. Thought Tien was alive, and he was. Nice win there for him. For the other matchup, though, Fonseca, I thought he would end up beating Van Asch, but I didn't think he'd absolutely kill him. Not totally shocked at the end of the day, but I thought that Van Asch would put up a bigger fight. Van Asch ended up winning 5 games total in the 3 sets combined. Damn, Fonseca's good. We know that he is still very young. He's viewed as being the face of Brazilian tennis for years to come, decades to come. And after having a couple of moments on the ATP Tour last year, seems like he's starting to blossom into the player we think he might become. Now, he's still got a long way to go. I'm aware of it, but the point is he's been passing every test here with flying colors and not dropping a set. He's been extremely calm, extremely composed, and extremely explosive with his actual strokes. And that has been a very lethal combination for him. But it seems like the mental toughness has been an area of issue for him in the past. Now he's improved in that area. But the overall talent's undeniable, and he has been the most talented player here by far. So nice job by him beating Van Asch in straight sets while really never being in, I'd say, any danger throughout the course of the match. In fact, they're looking at the actual numbers here. Fonseca faced 0 break points in the entire match. For comparison, Van Asch faced 14 and got broken 4 times. So once again, pretty, I'd say, interesting match, at least to compare to the Tien one. because you have one guy off of a 5-set marathon, the other guy's off of a straight set win, and now you might have to wonder about fatigue there in the final match. But point is, two really different matches in the semis on Saturday, one which was an absolute war, the other which was very, very easy, and now we'll see how those two guys clash together in the final here on Sunday. Now, before I get into the actual preview of the matchup there between Tien and Fonseca, overall, just wanted to give my thoughts on the event once again. I think the event is fine. It serves its purpose. I understand what the goal is for the event. Do I wish the format was a bit more legitimate? Yes. I still think that the deuces need to be there. No deuces in games is insane. I know that ended up resulting in drama in the Mensik match against Fonseca, where you had Fonseca serving for the match there in the 5th set, and then it went to deuce, and Mensik won the deciding point, which resulted in a breaker. I get it, it can be fun, but at the end of the day, even though you do want these younger guys to, I'd say, showcase their skills, you got to at least keep some of the rules in place for tennis. I feel like we're kind of just trying to test out some things for potential ATP Tour use or usage, and I feel like it's a little bit too gimmicky for me. I feel like worst case scenario, at least keep it, regular set length. If you want to get rid of deuces, okay. I don't agree with it, but whatever. At least play each set to 6 instead of 4. I feel like it's a pretty simple, I'd say, request. And you're looking at the younger guys who are in their teens. Are you worried they can't help or they can't actually handle the workload associated with potentially playing 5 sets of, 6 games? I should say 5 sets of race to 6 games there. I just don't really understand the purpose of keeping it in this kind of BS format, 1st to 4 in each set. I just don't agree with it. I think that it's kind of gimmicky, a bit too much so, and I hope that they address it moving forward. Seems that the events, though, have been a success, so we'll see how that goes moving forward. Anyway, point is, to get into the actual preview of the final. For that, though, want to remind you once again that we are brought to Underdog Fantasy because they have a lot of great items in their pick and menu. They have also a great underdog streak option where you can win up to 1,000 times your money with underdog streaks. Underdog's also easy to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. They have a lot of great deals to help make your entries a bit easier as well, or a bit more rewarding. With the profit boost, they have the NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. You can also use specials and boost on Netflix entries. For my entry, I think I'll do Sam Darnold higher, 1.5 passing touchdowns here in his game against Seattle. Seattle's running up and good at defending the pass, and we have seen a lot of weapons connect well with Darnold this season, whether it involves Jefferson, whether it involves Hawkinson or Addison, who's become, I'd say, quietly one of Darnold's favorite targets. But I see a pretty cheap line here at, once again, I just think that the overall, I'd say the overall option for Darnold is a pretty good overall deal. And I think that with Seattle's bad pass defense, Darnold should be able to find a couple opportunities to get into the end zone through his arm. So give me the Darnold higher 1.5 passing touchdowns in that game for my entry. Reminder, though, when you do sign up for a new account, use the promo code SGPN. Especially again, first time deposit offer up to 1K in bonus cash on fantasy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rebet. A reminder, Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. There are plenty of betting opportunities that are available on Rebet. Easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sportsbooks might not be available. A reminder, download the app in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match of $100. That's Rebet. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Going Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened on Saturday. Time to move on to the only match here on a Sunday. So, you have a matchup between Fonseca and Tien. Now, it's actually a rematch of a group stage matchup here, which Fonseca did win in 4 sets. Point is, though, is a massive favorite, about minus 340. You're looking at Tien being around plus 275. For the game spread, you have around -4 for Fonseca, minus 115. You have +4 for Tien at minus 105, and the over-under in games is set at 23 flat. You have options, though, for 22 or 24, depending on how you want to bet it. Now, for the set spread, you have Fonseca minus 1.5 sets at minus 160, Tien plus 1.5 sets at plus 130. The over 3.5 sets is minus 200, and the under is plus 160. If you want Fonseca straight sets, by the way, you can find that at plus 190. Now, I mentioned before, Fonseca did win the group stage matchup in 4 sets. Now, the first 2 sets were extremely alarming because he won the first 2 sets via bagel, and you kind of thought that Tien was going to get absolutely destroyed. And then he came back and he won the 3rd set 4-1, and then eventually did lose the final set 4-2. But Fonseca was up 8-0 to start the match. So once again, I do think that Tien is a bit outmatched here in terms of talent. Tien, I think, solid, still more of a rallier, not much firepower, and he tends to rely on consistency to outlast opponents. Fonseca just has too much firepower. I don't want to say it's the exact carbon copy of the matchup that we saw on Saturday between him and Van Asch. Similar stylistically, maybe, between Tien and Van Asch. They like to keep the ball in play, not much firepower, and Fonseca's been serving very well as he ended up having to face 0 break points in the semifinal matchup. But I think that Tien is once again playing great tennis. To go through the actual schedule, though, or I should say the overall form that each guy is in, Tien is currently 3-1. However, every match he's been in have gone to 4 or 5 sets. As for Fonseca, he has won all 4 matches here. So he's the only undefeated guy left. He did end up dropping at least 1 set in all 3 group stage matches, but ended up dominating as he beat Van Asch in straight sets on Saturday. Thought fatigue could be an issue after having 5 tiebreaks against Mensik in the last group stage match. It wasn't, and he looked very good against Van Asch. So I think the main difference here between the two guys, besides the firepower in terms of the overall ground strokes, is the serve. Tien's still not a great server. I think that Fonseca has the potential, or I should say the framework's in place for him to be a pretty good server on tour, but it seems like that's definitely an edge for him in this matchup. And when you're looking at what should be a pretty, I'd say, interesting battle of styles here, Fonseca's got some firepower, Tien wants to rally, and he tends to hit with a bit less pace. I think it should result in Fonseca taking control of each point pretty early on. I think he might come to the net more. One area of his game is drastically improved. He has been a bit more of a net player, and it has paid off for him as he's undefeated. So give me Fonseca to try to shorten the points while also getting some breakpoint opportunities. While I don't think Tien's going to have many of them, I think Fonseca's going to win. Now, minus 340 is massive, but I get it. I think I am going to go with Fonseca minus 1.5 sets, though, at minus 160. Think he wins personally in 3 or 4. I just don't see a very competitive matchup here. Maybe Tien can look sharper if Fonseca has an off day and he starts misfiring with his overall power shots. But I just think Fonseca right now is really finding that right balance between going for a ton of power and going for a ton of accuracy. And it seems like he's found the perfect sweet spot between the two of them, which makes him very dangerous. Tien kind of can only win one way, and I do think that's going to be a problem for him in this matchup. So I am going to go with Fonseca. If you want to go with the under in games at 24, I don't hate that. If you want to go for potentially Tien games at minus 4, bit riskier. But I think that he should be able to at least approach getting it done. Might come down to the wire, though. You might end up having to sweat out maybe a game or two before it lands on 5. But point is, I think that Fonseca should win, and I think that he'll win pretty comfortably. I don't see 5. I see either 3 or 4 sets personally. So give me Fonseca and kind of a repeat of the group stage matchup to win relatively easily. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the actual preview of the final in the Next Gen Finals on the ATP Tour in Jeddah. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. But for that, though, do want to remind everyone once again, they were brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie has been around with SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website. Great on your phone. Plus, a reminder, you could also use props on each game. They have props in each game, and they have a live dealer casino. Even new early cash out options. You could also head to the website, use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. MyBookie, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. A reminder that Rhythm can help you build your own betting models, whether you are a skilled bettor or you are relatively new. They have, once again, the overall skills and tools to actually help bettors of all levels the ability to build models in seconds, get predictions on money line, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one from the leaderboards, or you could also let Rhythm build one for you from scratch. A reminder, though, you can also track props on the Rhythm app. They have the NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA, and more. Rhythm does have it all. And a reminder, you can also try it out for free if you're a bit skeptical. 7 of your trial today by going to sportscam.com/Rhythm, sportscam.com/RETHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scaling Podcast. Just finished previewing the Sunday final between Tien and Fonseca. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Now, not many books actually carry this match, but I did find some lines on Bet365, so I'm going to use that for my sports book for the sake of these plays. Now, for the lock, I am going to go with a niche prop play, but I like it. I am going to go with the total tiebreakers in the match. And for this one, I am going to go with the under 1.5 tie breaks at minus 138. Faced off in the group stage, they went to 4 sets. None of the sets went to a tiebreak. In fact, 3 of the 4 sets ended with less than 5 games. I should say less than 6 games, I mean. So each of the first 3 sets were very lopsided. Fourth one's a bit closer, but you're looking at Tien, who has not been involved in a ton of breakers, has been involved in some. He ended up having 0 against Mickelson in the 5 sets on Saturday, had 2 against Fees. Point is, though, he had 0 against Fonseca in the group stage matchup. So once again, Tien has had 0 tie breaks in 2 of his last 3 matches. Fonseca's had a few more, but he ended up only having 1 against Fees in the first match that he had. So the final 4 sets ended up not going to a breaker. Had 0 against Tien in 4 sets. Had a bunch of them against Mensik, who's a great server, and then eventually Fonseca ended up having 0 in his last match against Van Asch. So the point is, 2 of the last 3 matches for Fonseca, he has had 0 tie breaks and needed less than 2 in this matchup. I think Tien's serve just isn't good enough. We saw Fonseca win 2 sets via bagel in the group stage. I think the price is actually pretty cheap. They faced off a couple times as well outside of this event, even with full, first to 6 sets. And in all 3 meetings, no tie breaks. So that being the case, I do like the overall head-to-head history, and I like the form that Fonseca's in, and even Tien's in, having a 5-set marathon yesterday with no tie breaks. Give me the under 1.5 tie breaks here at a minus 138 as my lock. For my dog, I am going to go with Fonseca moneyline with the under 22.5 games at plus 140. Fonseca won the group stage meeting in 4 sets, and yet the match still finished with just 19 games. So the point is, the match was very lopsided. It's by going 4 sets. Fonseca could win this in straight sets. Wouldn't totally shock me. You could potentially get a 4-setter again with some lopsided sets in there, maybe a bagel or 2, and that'll help you get there anyway. Point is, though, Fonseca, I just think, is in better form. He's undefeated, and he did win in straight sets against Van Asch on Saturday, while Tien had to go to 5 sets against Mickelson. Physically grueling match, and that was eventually too much for Mickelson to handle. Point is, though, fatigue could play a factor, with Tien having really no days off, and with him having a 5-setter on Saturday, while Fonseca, after a 5-set marathon, all tiebreaks, got to coast with a nice straight set win there against Van Asch. Give me Fonseca to win in this one, and I do think that the total, if you combo it with the money line, is a good price. So I'll go with that as my dog. So once again, the plays here for the final in the Next Gen Finals. The lock's going to be on the under 1.5 tie breaks at minus 138. And for the dog, give me Fonseca money line with the under 22.5 games at plus 140. That's going to wrap it up there for the actual episode. A reminder, next episode, we are not going to cover the United Cup, so we are going to be waiting for Brisbane and Hong Kong, which is starting on the 30th, so we're probably going to be back for the 28th or the 29th. We'll see how qualifying goes. Point is, though, we have a couple of outrights to preview in about a week, so we're going to be off again for about a week. Hopefully you don't miss me too much. If you do find me on the NBA show, find me on the MLB show as well. And until next time, a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe. You could also, once again, leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. Also, check out the merch store for nice tennis scale and podcast merch, for example, as you can see here. And until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.